Hello and welcome. This is Amhara Media Corporation English Service, and you are watching our weekly edition episodes a week. First, grand stories. Stay tuned. President Sahle-Work Zewde said strong cooperation among stakeholders and partners is crucial to transform agriculture. The president said transforming the agricultural sector in Ethiopia needs strong cooperation among stakeholders and partners, as well as use of science and technology. Abu Burhani reports.
She made the remark at the Today National Agriculture Conference that concluded yesterday. Pointing out the country's immense agricultural potential, the president stressed the need for continuous discussion, strong cooperation among stakeholders and partners, and use of the latest science and technology to tap Ethiopia's agricultural potential and ensure food security and nutrition. The agricultural practice in the world is changing with science and technology, and modernizing the agriculture sector in Ethiopia needs the use of science and technology, as well as strong cooperation of all stakeholders and partners. The president further stressed the need to transform the lives of women engaged in the agriculture sector by providing technological and expert support. Regarding the impact of climate change on developing countries, she stated that Ethiopia should work on preventing the impact of climate change instead of reducing climate change consequences. Sahle-Work hailed the success in green legacy and food security works and called for further strengthening of the efforts. Agriculture Minister Omar Hossein said, the conference has provided important input to the ministry to capitalize on successes and work towards achieving the greater demand. He added that the national demand from the agriculture sector is huge when compared to what is being done. He noted that Ethiopia has achieved well in wheat production, green legacy and oilseed, adding that it has also prioritized livestock products. According to him, wheat cultivated land in the country has expanded to about 1.3 million hectares of land in 2 rounds this year from about 680,000 last year. With regard to the green legacy that took place in the past 4 years, about 25 billion tree seedlings were planted and 767,000 jobs were created. Ethiopia has 36 million hectares of arable land, of which 13.4 million hectares of land has been cultivated.
Political parties call on the government of Ethiopia to take urgent action to stop the violence which is being unleashed against civilians in Wallagga, Oromia regional state. Let's take a look at the full account of the story.
That party, the Ethiopian People's Unity Party and the All Ethiopian Unity Party issued a joint press statement regarding the recent attacks on civilians in East Wallagga, Oromia regional state. The political parties stressed that the victims of the violence in the last 4 years are mainly ethnic Amharas. Nevertheless, the Oromos who have been opposing the Sheni militantes, a terrorist group according to the House of People's representatives, are also victims of the attack. In a joint press statement, the parties called on the government to immediately stop the brutal violence unleashed against civilians. The parties reminded that the Oromia regional state has the responsibility to protect the peace and security of the residents in the region. They also reiterated that the government should take action against officials who are allegedly supporting the terrorist group. Moreover, they have asked for explanation from the federal government on the issue. And the media and civic organizations should do their part to end the massacre. The press statement stated the Wallagga area should be governed under a command post until lasting peace is established. It was a recent phenomenon that hundreds of ethnic Amharas have been massacred in Tole Kabale of Gimbi Warada in West Wallagga zone. Just 18 days after the gruesome Tole massacre, another mass killing was committed in Wallagga zone in Oromia on July 4, 2022, claiming hundreds of lives. According to eyewitness reporters, Oele Sheni, the perpetrator of the mass killings, is still unleashing terror and violence, killing and displacing civilians in Wallagga, Oromia regional state.
Political party leaders said government's effort in providing humanitarian aid supply and rehabilitation is appreciable. The party leaders have expressed their appreciation to the government of Ethiopia in delivering humanitarian aid and rehabilitation efforts in Tigray region. ብርሃኑ ወርቅነህ has more.
They have also called on all to support the government's effort, leaving aside their differences. Recall that the government of Ethiopia and TPLF signed a peace agreement to permanently resolve the conflict in Pretoria, South Africa on 2nd November 2022. Following the peace agreement, the Ethiopian government has been facilitating humanitarian support through all the 4 corridors and by air to the people of Tigray. Efforts are also underway to restore basic services and rehabilitate infrastructures damaged due to the conflict. Competing political party leaders approached by the Ethiopian news agency have commended the peace agreement and the government's ongoing efforts to provide humanitarian aid and rehabilitate basic services in the region. Tigray Democratic Party chairperson Argai Berhe said the agreement reached to solve the problem in northern Ethiopia permanently has pleased peace lovers. According to him, the government's effort in delivering humanitarian aid and reconstruction is also laudable. Noting that the conflict in the northern part of the country has caused chaos in social, political and economic spheres, he added that peaceful resolution to the conflict has multifaceted benefit. Aragai further stressed that all need to stand in safeguarding the peace, as it is essential to ensure the guarantee of services of citizens, development of the nation and stability. The peace agreement is a big step. The importance of peace for development or stable life is unquestionable. Hence, the agreement is very commendable as it provides peace and stability, particularly to the people of Tigray and neighboring regions. The effort made by the government to bring peace in the region has borne fruit, and this is pleasing. All of us need to support the government's effort in delivering humanitarian aid, rehabilitation and restoration of basic services that is underway following the peace agreement, he said. All Ethiopian Unity Party President Mamushet Amhara said on his part, the peace agreement is crucial for public peace and the existence of Ethiopia. He also appreciated the government's effort to support the needy and rehabilitate the internally displaced people. The president urged all the pertinent bodies, including foreign aid agencies, to support the government's effort.
ትግራይ ላይ ተፈናቅሎ ያለ ህዝብ አለ፣ አማራ ላይ ተፈናቅሎ ያለ ህዝብ አለ፣ አፋር ተፈናቅሎ ያለ ህዝብ አለ.
There are people displaced in Tigray, Amhara and Afar regions. There is a need to provide humanitarian aid for all these people equally. It is vital to supply them with food and clothes. There is also a need for emergency humanitarian aid and health services to the people. The displaced must be resettled to their permanent life. In this regard, NGOs, investors, civil organizations must support the government's effort.
ይህንን አስተዋጽኦ ማበርከት ከእያንዳንዱ ይጠበቃል.
Anat Party Public Relations Head Yaya Hasmara said, the peace agreement and the effort intensified to implement is commendable. All need to be committed for the implementation of the peace agreement, he stressed. According to him, anyone who tries to disrupt the peace agreement is against peace, and all of us need to stand firm against this and promote peace. The agreement of cessation of hostilities is commendable. It is only the children and mothers who reside in the war zone that really understand the significance of the ceasefire agreement. The idea to stop fighting and discuss the other problems and find solutions later is commendable. However, the two parties should work in order to implement the agreement until the end.
ሁለቱ ተደራዳሪ ወገኖች በሬት ላይ ሊወርድ በሚችል መልኩ መስራት አለባቸው.
He also called on all citizens to play their part for the implementation of the peace agreement.
Ministry vows to consolidate diplomatic activities and expand achievements in the new year. According to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ethiopia will further consolidate its diplomatic activities and expand the achievements gained in the field. Fikradi Zodo reports.
Briefing the media, Foreign Affairs spokesperson Melissa Alam said the ministry will focus on image building and scaling up diplomatic relations next year. He added, raising resources by mobilizing the diaspora, expanding international finance access, attracting investment flows, and raising funds for reconstruction and rehabilitation among others, are also the main areas of activities. The spokesperson stated lots of efforts are expected from diplomats to strengthen and expand the achievements that the country has gained despite many challenges. To realize this, training has been given to Ethiopian ambassadors starting from December 16. It was learned that the training focused on the measures the government is undertaking on the implementation of the peace agreement, renewing diplomatic relations after the peace agreement, promoting foreign direct investment and other related issues. Meanwhile, the spokesperson stated that the peace agreement has been widely accepted by the international community and things are returning to normal in the field of diplomacy. He noted Ethiopia's partners from near and far have expressed their desire to provide support. President of the Transitional Sovereign Council of Sudan, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has expressed his satisfaction over the signing of a peace agreement between the Ethiopian government and the TPLF, and he affirmed Sudan's unwavering support for its full implementation. The United States, the European Union, the Middle East, Asia, and the Pacific countries also expressed their support for the peace agreement through their ambassadors. Moreover, the European Union, through its partners UNICEF and World Food Programme, has extended 33 million euros aid to restore essential education services and implement school feeding programs so that children living in conflict-affected areas can get back to learning. It also donated 38 million euros to support conflict-affected health and education sectors in Ethiopia. The spokesperson finally underlined that the government of Ethiopia is working with commitment to effectively implement the peace agreement.
The International Criminal Police Organization Interpol said that it will support Ethiopia's endeavor to fight against terrorism in the East African region. Brian Workner tells us more.
The 24th Eastern Africa Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization General Meeting is underway in Addis Ababa, deliberating on trans-border crimes, human trafficking, illegal arms trafficking, and drug trafficking, as well as security challenges affecting the region. Approached by Ina, head of branch Interpol Regional Counter-Terrorism Node ESAF, and Europe, Daniel Angel Damjanovic, who is participating in the general meeting, said the prevention of transnational terrorism is mission of Interpol. Praising Ethiopia's outstanding role in fighting terrorism in East African region, Damjanovic pledged that Interpol will give necessary support to the nation's endeavors in this regard. At the world's largest police organization, Interpol has 195 member countries. He indicated that one of the anti-terrorist continental centers is located in Nairobi, Kenya.
One of the nodes has been set up in Nairobi to work closely with the national police units, but also with immigration, also with customs, and also with our regional partners such as AMECO, to promote information exchange, to coordinate operational activities against counterterrorism, and also to build capacity in the region. And this is something that we have been doing over the past 5 years, and really looking forward to more cooperation and events such as the AMECO AGM that bring agencies together is a great platform and great opportunities for us to work collaboratively on combating terrorism in the region.
In this regard, he said, Interpol is working in the East African region where there is a threat of terrorism in partnership with pertinent customs, immigration policy and other institutions of countries in the region. The ongoing 24th Eastern Africa Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization taking place in Addis Ababa has created opportunity to exchange views with several pertinent institutions, he added. Interpol will strengthen coordination with East African countries in fighting against terrorism and cross-border crimes, the head affirmed.
We've conducted a number of operations over the past few years. Several operations were border control operations where we target we target the movement of terrorists using porous borders. So we work with the countries closely to provide Interpol tools and capabilities for them to be able to cross-check those entities and identify terrorists, identify other criminals. We also support countries' high-priority counterterrorism operations by providing technical support and we will continue to do so. This is a very unique role for Interpol, and something that we should further encourage countries to do, to work with us closely, and also look for additional opportunities.
He also mentioned about the several measures taken over the past 5 years in collaboration with customs, immigration, police and other institutions of the countries in the region to foil the acts of terrorists, indicating that countries of the region shared their experiences in their fight against terrorism at the 24th Eastern Africa Police Chiefs Cooperation Organization meeting. He said that Ethiopia's experience is admirable. Hence, the head stated that Interpol will strengthen its support and cooperation to the countries, including Ethiopia, to enhance their capability of implementing anti-terrorist enforcement and help them exchange experiences.
Certainly explore opportunities and use this time, the YAPCO AGM, to discuss opportunities with Ethiopia. Ethiopia has one of the biggest or the largest airports, a lot of passengers coming through. As we have seen from presentations, there is a solid level of threat here as well. So we will work closely with Ethiopia over the next 12 months to look at opportunities, joint opportunities, and I know that Ethiopian agencies are open to it. So I hope we can work very closely together and achieve some good results in Ethiopia as well.
Ethiopia is one of the countries in the region facing a threat of terrorism, the head said, stressing the need to intensify efforts in preventing the threat. According to him, Interpol has been working with Ethiopia in the fight against terrorism. The organization will continue its partnership with Ethiopia in a strengthened manner, he added.
The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said that the majority of the requirements for refugees in need of assistance in Ethiopia are being addressed by the Ethiopian government with the support of international community. Abel Burhani tells us more.
In Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, Humanitarian Financing and Resource Mobilization Division Director Lisa Dotson told Ethiopian News Agency that there are many refugees in Ethiopia, and the majority of the requirements for those people are being addressed by the Ethiopian government with the support of the international community.
I do know that there are 830,000 refugees in Ethiopia, and of course the majority of the requirements of those people are being addressed by the Ethiopian government in support with the support of the international community. So the Ethiopian government has provided that assistance. So there's a large caseload, if we want to put it, but a large number of people that need to be supported.
The director stressed that there are large numbers of people that need to be supported as Ethiopia is affected by conflict, drought and flood, adding that, therefore, this is an urgent appeal to address those suffering from food security, hunger, diseases and gender violence.
In Ethiopia specifically, the requirements for next year are $3.3 billion, and that's to assist almost 29 million people. So Ethiopia has a dubious distinction of having been affected by conflict in the north, by droughts, by floods, and so OCHA and other humanitarian partners, both international and national and local, have been working to address those needs. We're very pleased to encouraged by the signature of the Comprehensive Peace Agreement last month, and that there's been increased humanitarian access, and we hope that there will be continued assistance that can be provided to the people of that region.
It is to be recalled that the Ethiopian government has been exerting maximum effort to provide humanitarian support to all vulnerable communities by its own capacity and with the help of donor partners, where the share of the international partners has been much lower than the required level. Responding to the questions as to why the international partners, institutions and countries are not providing enough support for refugees in Ethiopia, Dotson said she thinks that is the overall funding gap, because without necessary funding, then any actor cannot provide the assistance necessary to address the need of refugees, returnees and IDPs. The director explained that the problem is not unique to Ethiopia, but it is something that happens around the world. That's why they are launching this global humanitarian overview report, because they have these issues globally and they need to be addressed, as the impacts on one part of the world also impacts other part of the world. Commenting on the efforts of the government to provide support for people in conflict-affected areas, she said the national response, supported by international community, is something that is necessary to work together, as it is difficult to try to address the need of people that are affected by conflicts and climate-related adversities seem to have increased the number of people in need of humanitarian assistance.
The peace agreement signed in South Africa between the Ethiopian government and TPLF has opened the door for conducting pre-national dialogue activities, said Dr. Jonas Adey, Commissioner of the National Dialogue Commission. He interested Ethiopians to repeat the active participation they are doing to the Renaissance Dam in the implementation of the peace agreement and the success of the National Consultation Forum. Beletet Harakeng has to take up the full account of the story.
The evil-minded and self-centered politicians and conspirators have made Ethiopians look at each other with hatred instead of caring for each other so as to fulfill their hidden agendas. The sense of alienation and trade created in their motherland is an obstacle to move forward as a country, and the government of Ethiopia is in the process of holding national dialogue activities to set a lasting solution. Dr. Jonas Adey, Commissioner of the National Dialogue Commission and Associate Professor of Peace Study in Addis Ababa University, said to Amhara Media Corporation that the peace accord signed in between the government of Ethiopia and TPLF has unlocked the gate for conducting pre-national dialogue activities.
Peace agreement sparks the hope, to be honest. It ignites imagination. It awakens those people who were depressed by being desperate, losing hope. That is fundamental answer to the question, to be honest. You know, this peace is a positive force. So the very agreement itself immediately gives people hope for life. And most importantly, we were to go to the third country so as to engage people from Tigray, such as Nairobi or Djibouti or somewhere else. But now it has paved the way for us to go straight to Meghalaya rather than going somewhere else. So that is also another, impetus, i.e. encouragement for us to engage. So a peace agreement definitely opened up our hope. And I can say it is an indication of laying foundation for sustainable peace in Ethiopia.
Dr. Jonas stressed that Africans have confidence that they are capable of solving their problems independently. Likewise, pre-national dialogue activities are being undertaken carefully, and it doesn't fall under external influence.
To use the old adage, no man is an island, which means in modern English, no person is an island. We all are related with each other. And no country is also an island. Africa also are related with the West as well as with the East. We do business together at the same time. We are not really an island. It is impossible for any country to be alone. Cooperation is very important because Africa's Ubuntu philosophy is, I am, because we are. We think that communal thinking rather than individualized way. I know everything. My way is super. That's a dangerous one. That really led the whole world into catastrophe and chaos. But the best way out definitely is we are smart. We are better together. That is a philosophy now emerging. This togetherness. You don't expect unipolar world. Superpower. No, we are expecting now new world order emerging, multipolar world. Economic might such as China coming up, to be honest. Not only masterminded by the West, but also others are to come together and work together. So African solution then is definitely a contribution from Africa as well. We are also expecting Africa's voice in the UN Security Council shortly.
Dr. Jonas explained that Ethiopians have shown the power of unity in the victory of Adwa and in the construction of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam project. Hence, he entrusted Ethiopians to repeat their active participation for the implementation of the peace agreement and the success of the national dialogue.
Humbly requesting the Ethiopian people to show the commitment they showed for the Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. That commitment must be out there again. We like to see the same commitment for the success of Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission. All professionals, farmers, pastoralists across our country as well, they all really, as usual, hand in hand, let's rise and support the Ethiopian National Dialogue Commission. And don't forget the prayer. Prayer has transcendental power to change, to make the impossible possible. So we also respectfully ask our priests, our spiritual leaders as a whole, to pray for us incessantly, non-stoppingly as well, until we see the dawn of Ethiopia, this darkness, this distorted image into bright image.
Elites were preaching and carrying out distractions and operations on people, and this has to be stopped. According to him, the opportunity has to be given for the people since they are capable of settling problems, and this is the main aim of the national dialogue.
National Disaster Risk Management Commission reveals that 95% of war-affected population received emergency food aid. According to the Commission, the government of Ethiopia and partner organizations have succeeded in providing 95% of the total demand for food in the 3 conflict-affected regions during the past 30 days.
Briefing journalists, Disaster Risk Management Commissioner Shifarao Taklamaram said that over 134,948 metric ton of food supplies has been distributed. As the government of Ethiopia has been consistent with its policy in ensuring sustainable peace and resolving issues in civilized ways, it has provided and enhanced humanitarian aid in line with the Pretoria, South Africa Peace Agreement. The commissioner reveals that the number of people who need emergency food assistance in the regions affected by the war in Tigray, Amhara, and Afar is about 8.4 million. Of this, some 7.9 million people have received emergency food assistance. Shifarao underscored that the government of Ethiopia is very concerned about citizens that require humanitarian aid and other services. As a result, it is responding vigorously and ensuring unfettered access in all areas. In addition to emergency food assistance, the commissioner stated that 3,239 metric tons of nutritious food was provided by the government and humanitarian partners to 71,978 vulnerable members of the community in the past months. Moreover, non-food humanitarian aid such as fuel, medicine, medical equipment, emergency shelter, educational and protection materials were provided for Tigray region. Commissioner Shifarao finally stressed that the government's move to unfettered access demonstrates its commitment to recovery, rehabilitation and reconstruction of the conflict-affected regions.
Intergovernmental Commission Chair said it is time for Ethio-Russia economic operators to expand interaction and diversification. Ethio-Russia Intergovernmental Commission Chairman and Russia's Ambassador to Ethiopia, Yevgeny Terekin, underscored that it is time to have a substantive discussion about the expansion of opportunities for interaction and diversification of cooperation between economic operators in the 2 countries. Abel Burhani reports.
The 8th Ethio-Russian Intergovernmental Commission meeting, which aims at enhancing trade, investment, scientific and technical cooperation, as well as advancing and transforming people-to-people relations, kicked off yesterday. Speaking at the opening of the 3 days meeting on economic, scientific, technical and trade cooperation, the chairman said the relationship between Ethiopia and Russia is based on historical traditions of mutual respect and trust.
In recent years, Ethiopia has shown steady economic growth. Thanks to the economic and political reforms carried out by the country's authorities, improvement of the legal framework and introduction of best practices, there have been positive changes in the business climate in the country.
He pointed out that the potential of bilateral trade and economic ties is very high, but both Russian and Ethiopian businessmen do not yet know enough about opportunities in this regard. Ethio-Russia Intergovernmental Commission co-chairman and Innovation and Technology Minister Bellete Molla said the people-to-people relation and strong ties between Russia and Ethiopia is bound by similarity of values, including commitment to their sovereignty. He noted that the trade and investment volume is much less than the expected level, despite a very cordial and historical friendship that the two countries are enjoying, adding that the two countries have a tremendous potential for trade and investment cooperation. It is then the right time to convert opportunities to realities.
The economic rejuvenations that have been taking place in Ethiopia are based on homegrown economic policy and massive reforms in all fronts. Ethiopia is now on the right track to achieve its vision and sustainable and green economic growth. In this context, I wish to invite Russian investors to take part in our development endeavors.
According to the minister, Ethiopia's potential in manufacturing, mining, energy, agriculture and pharmaceutical sectors will provide ample opportunity for Russian businesses. Bellete stated that Ethiopia acknowledges the Russian Federation as a partner of all times of national needs, particularly in the efforts to maintain Ethiopia's independence, sovereignty and territorial integrity. Russia's head of Federation Agency on Mineral Resources, Evgeny Petrov, Ethiopia remains one of Russia's important partners in Africa and aims to increase the volume of bilateral trade and diversify it qualitatively. According to him, the Commission will discuss prospects in the fields of energy, geology and management of mineral resources and agriculture, information and communication, healthcare and education.
Well, viewers, this is Amhara Media Corporation English Service, and you have been watching our weekly edition apps of the week, and that brings us to the end of our grand stories. That was Modumri with you. Thank you for staying with us.
Ethiopian Airlines has a good name, a good brand, and if you ask many people, many Africans, you will hear them talking highly of Ethiopian Airlines. We have an excellent service standard, very competitive with the big airlines in Middle East and Europe or other regions. And in recognition of this excellent service and high standard of service, we, as you may have heard, we have received several awards. And in particular, Skytrax, which rates all airlines around the world every year, has named Ethiopian Airlines the best airline in Africa in most parameters, including business class service, economy class service, onboard meal, and others. We have also received several other awards, and these are true testimonies of our services. There are several factors that have contributed to the success of Ethiopian Airlines. The first one is the airline has a long-term strategic roadmap which defines how it grows. And in the past, we used to have what we call Vision 2025, outlining what the airline has to achieve by year 2025. And during the last 12 years, we have been implementing the strategies identified in this strategic roadmap, And we have made significant progress along with these strategies. In fact, in several areas, we have achieved our goals ahead of the time frame. And since we are very close to the end of Vision 2025, recently we have updated it to become Vision 2035, which is a scale-up of the fast, profitable, and sustainable growth strategies that we have been pursuing. Vision 2035 outlines where the airline wants us to achieve, what goals to achieve. And we also have strategies that enable us to reach there. So this is one factor. The other one is the Ethiopian Airlines has a highly competent, motivated, professional workforce, which enabled the airline to implement its strategies. Visionary leaders combined with highly skilled, competent employees were behind this achievement. The third factor which we have to recognize is that even though Ethiopian Airlines is fully owned by the Ethiopian government, the airline is run under pure commercial rules. We run as independent business unit, and this has helped us to implement our strategies without any intervention. These are the most salient factors that have contributed to our success. In Vision 2035, we have aimed to nearly double the number of destinations that will be flying by 2035, to increase the number of destinations from 131 today to 207. And to cover this expansion, we have planned again to double the number of aircraft in our fleet from 140 to 271. We have planned to carry 65 million passengers and 3 million tons of cargo. And we aim to generate $25 billion of annual revenue by 2035. These are some of the goals that we want to achieve. When we say Pan-Africanism, Ethiopian Airlines believes that it is a Pan-African airline because it has been connecting Africans together since before the establishment of even the Organization of African Unity. So most Africans used Ethiopian Airlines to meet their air transport requirement, and we take it as a mission to bring Africans together for the development of the African continent. But now, since recently, we have taken it as a mission also to develop the African air transport industry, to take the lead in this development, because unfortunately the air transport industry in Africa is not yet developed. And we are encouraging African countries to form their own airlines. We provide technical assistance, and whenever they ask us to set up an airline for them, we accept that, go, and depending on their requirement, we assist them